Welcome to month 4. So another column, label it month 4, and let's fill in those details. Again, let's go a little bit crazy on growth. 10,000 glasses of lemonade this month. Same price, same cost of goods, nothing's changed there. So we're gonna bring in $7,500. We're gonna spend $5,500 in parts to do that, parts and labor. And so we have a net revenue way higher, 4 times higher now, $2,000. On the marketing side, what's it gonna take to do that? Well, again, I'm gonna say we're gonna go big. We're gonna start making huge signs, professionally made, spend $500 on signs, and twice as many flyers as the last month. It's $1,000. We're going to get some better tables. No more spoons. We got plenty of spoons. Anyhow, and we're going to start to pay people, right? So if you didn't notice before, we had nobody actually paid by salary. We had some labor in the cost of goods, but it wasn't very much money. So what we're going to say in this month is we're going to start having employees, and we're going to pay them not very much, right? Just $1,000 in salaries. Well, our total expenses fly up to $3,550. We earned $2,000, so that is a net loss of $1,550. Well, last time we lost money, it was no big deal, but this time we don't have $1,155 in the bank, right? We only had $112. So when you do your cash, when you do that calculation, it's $112 minus $1,550. Well, that's negative $1,438 in the bank. And I don't know about you, but my bank doesn't like negative balances, nor do my suppliers like being paid in negative dollars either. So we need to fix this problem. We need to do something drastic. All right, so in month 4, we had a loss and we didn't have enough cash to cover it. So what are our options? Well, one option is to change the expenses until it works out that we have a profitable business again. But I want to build a humongous lemonade stand company. And so what I want to do to fix this problem is to go out to the world and find investors to invest in my company. And given the numbers, let's just fix it slightly. Let's just work on the problem at hand in this month. And so if we raised $2,000, that's a nice round number. If we raised $2,000, then we would have plenty of money to cover this loss for this month. So here's how we do this. We go to this investment line, the one between net profit loss and cash, and we put in $2,000. Now in real life, it's not that simple. It's a different lecture, go watch that. But in financial planning, it is that simple. We simply state that we will have $2,000 in investment in that month. And now the cash line is not actually what I said before. The formula for the cash line is the cash from the month before, plus the net profit or loss, plus the investments, and then you'll get the cash out of that. All right, so when we do that calculation with the $2,000 in there, we now have $562 sitting in the bank at the end of month 4. Problem solved for now. Okay, it's going to get a little monotonous if I go month by month by month. It'll take a little while. I think you got the point by now. One at a time, you fill in the columns for each month, put in reasonable numbers, not my crazy growth numbers, and see what happens. Now, let's look at what happens in month 5 in my projected model here. So month 5, I'm going to go back to some reasonable growth. We'll go from $10,000 to $12,000 in sales. We'll bring in $2,400 in net revenues. And we'll stop going nuts on signage. We'll actually stop buying signs at all. We'll just keep with the flyers, buy one more table, a few more spoons. And so total expenses are now $3,060. And again, we have a loss. It's not too bad. It's a $660 loss, but we only had $562 in the bank. So let's fix it the same way we fixed the last one. Let's just assume that we'll put $2,000 more in investment capital. And just be clear, in real life, you would not raise $2,000 in one month and then go back and raise another $2,000 the next month, nor would you raise $100,000 in one month and $100,000 in the next month. You would collect these together and do one much bigger raise a month or 2 or 3, ideally, before you need the money, right? Again, that's another lecture. We'll get to talk about that separately. In the financial model, all we have to do is make sure we don't have negative cash. So we're going to fix month 5 by putting in $2,000 more in investor capital. Moving on to month 6, let's stick with this idea of reasonable growth. That's 15,000 cups of lemonade, same price, same cost of goods. We get net revenues of $3,000. On the expense side, well, we'll try and keep it about the same, but we got to increase the flyers to do this. We're going to need more tables and more spoons. They're going to wear out or something. And so, and we're going to hire one more person. Right. So what we wind up on here is total expenses for month 6 of $4,160 for a loss of $1,160. And again, since we had raised $2,000 the previous month, and that was a bit more than we actually needed, it's just like month 3. We have a loss, but we can afford that loss, and so we'll just keep going, no more investments, and move on. Then we get to month 7. In month 7, I'm showing one more thing that happened. So in month 7, we're going to jump up sales to $20,000, so that brings in $4,000 of net revenues. And we're going to muck with this expenses again. We're going to have a new signs made, right? Maybe they've worn out over the summer, or maybe we just need more of them. And so we wind up with a total expenses of $4,810. We're going to lose $810. And now what's interesting in this particular month is that we had almost $800 in the bank, and we lost just over $800. So we just missed. And what would you do in real life if you just missed? Well, you probably wouldn't go to the expense and the time to raise more money from investors. What you would do is you'd go to a friend and say, hey, can I borrow a few $100s? I'm a little bit short, I can't quite pay. Right? You may go to your vendor, you may go to the guy you're buying lemons from and say, hey, can I pay you in a month? I'm a little bit short. Something along those lines. So let's call it a loan, all right? There's a line in here for loans. And this is the simplest way to show loans. We're going to put a $500 figure in the loan line, and it works just like the investment line, right? Positive number means money coming into the company. And we're going to make sure that that cash calculation is cash from the previous month plus net profit or loss plus investment plus loans is the new cash. And then we move on to months 8, 9, and 10, 11, and so forth. And what we should see here as you look through the numbers is you see we turn a corner, right? We start to make a profit again. So in month 8, we make a $490 profit. In month 10, it's $740 and so forth. So in month 8, we made enough money almost to pay back the loan. And in normal cases, you don't pay back the loan that quickly, right? In most cases, you pay it off in a few months. So what I'm showing here is on that same loan line, we have a negative number, and I'm using that to represent payments back out to the lender. So in this case, in month 8, there's a $100 payment. In month 9, there's $200. In month 10, there's $200. And that again adds up to $500, so the loan line is even when you add it all together. You can get more complicated. You could have separate lines for loans in, loans out. You could separate interest from these payments. We're just assuming here it's a zero interest friendly loan. When you look at the rest of the numbers for the rest of the year, it grows and grows and grows. It becomes a rather large business, doing 100,000 cups of lemonade in month 12, but it starts to make more and more money. It starts to look like a good business.